Right in the same ditch.
And anyway, he turned the backhoe around, and the back end hit this pipe that was supposed to be empty. But after he hit it, Creosote started shooting up out of it, and he didn't really know what to do, so he panicked. And by the time we really found out about it, it was about maybe 15 to 20 minutes later. And after that, the Creosote, it just had spread it all over the pavement, into the ditches on the side, out by the cemetery, ran on down by the cemetery. And it took us at least 8 or 9 hours to clean it up.
Well, on the back of the mill, the guy had he was driving the little lift truck, and he ran into it, and one of the pipes back there, one of the big tanks, the pipe, and hit it. And it started running everywhere, and all of us had to, we was at a meeting, and we came out and started putting sawdust and stuff down, trying to stop it.
Were y'all able to stop it? A lot of it? Did any of it get away or what?
Well, they dug down in the ground and put sawdust, trying to stop it, keep it from getting in the cemetery, out that way.
That spill that they had that by the plant, it was bales and bales that run
Tell
on
me
the
about
ground.
this spill.
One day, all of a sudden, a pipe bust behind the treating plant. And they just got it. It was running, and they was running, and we got shovels. They stopped everybody from working everywhere. And we just went out there in the parking lot, and they had to move your cars and everything. And just, it was headed down the drain. They had a drain that run down towards that field where they got all them test wells out there. But as you come off the little hill, the club at?
Yeah.
Come down that little hill, the parking lot was to the left. That's where it came from, across from the treating plant, across the road where you drive, and it was headed towards the school. And we was out there a whole day cleaning up, just covered it up.
We had a big spill. One of the guys hit one of the pipes with a backhoe, and it had Creosote and everything running. It's like going to this ditch here on 14 going down there. We had to go all down there and had some washing fire and everything, trying to stop the Creosote.
Did you stop?
We stopped some of it, so some got away.
How much you think got away?
A bunch of it. A bunch of it.
No, I just done what I was told. I was told to report to the supervisor anything wrong. We reported it, we repaired it, and that was all I was told to do. I was a general flunky. I've seen big spills. I've seen hydraulic fluid, a line on a apprentice blow a hydraulic and blow 50 gallons of hydraulic fluid out on the ground. Scoop it up, take it down the road, shuffle it, put some fresh dirt over it, cover it up, nobody knows it.
I have pictures that can show you that when it rained, it looked like a creosote lake out there. And from there, it drained into the ditches. And from the ditches, it has to go to streams and rivers because that's where it naturally flows. So yes, many times. What should have happened, you're asking me my job as a shipping supervisor. One thing, we receive the creosote treated material off the drippage pad, okay? When it comes out of the cylinders, the treatment cross ties are supposed to sit on that pad until they do not drip anymore. That's the rules. All right. A lot of times, because of production reasons, they say, hey, we got to get this stuff changed out and get it off the pad so we can get more stuff in there. They would go ahead and push it down into each shipping department, one on the Pine Yard side, which was across the street, 14th Avenue, and then the other one on my side. So we had two different yards. There was called a Norfolk Southern Yard and a Burlington Northern Yard, two different railroads. So some of that stuff would go across the street, and then some of it would come on my side. All right, a lot of times that stuff was still dripping creosote on the ground because it hadn't, evaporated off or been cleaned off. When they push it down into that department, it just drips all over the ground, and and those trams, they were called trams that hold those cross ties. And those trams would hold probably a couple of gallons of creosote in them. And there was numerous reports that we gave, to management about these trams leaking, gallons of creosote every day. onto the ground, you know. They said, well, yeah, we know about it, you know, we're trying to do something about it. This
Now,
one,
now you said management. Who specifically would say we know about it?
Ron Murphy and Chuck Swan. Chuck Swan was over the environmental part. He was the treating supervisor and the assistant plant manager at the end. And Ron was a plant manager at the end.
You think corporate knew about this in Oklahoma?
Oh, yes. At the end, I know they did. Because I also sent them pictures to ask them about that. I sent them some pictures toward the end of the plant and asked them, you know, this is going on down here. What do you think about this? And it was very quiet from their end.
Yeah, after I heard about the suit, they said it was run into the ditch. I knew it was true, but I knew it was coming off Kermit yard. And I knew after the rain, the creosote on the ground, it would rain. And after water and the creosote run off the ground, it would run into the ditches. And the ditch was going down up under the church.
Yes, when they transport the wood, train, the locomotive pushes it by trams, transports it by track. There's ditch on either side of the tracks. As it goes to, across the street, it would actually, the trams would kick off because of rocks or debris or just because the wheel breaks or mishap. Actually, the tram and all the wood, it holds up to 60 pieces, would go right to the ditch. I mean, fall sideways, or the empty tram would come back off the tracks and hit and fall and spill whatever was in the tram down to the ditch on both sides of the street as it comes to the pine yard.
And when it rained, the creosote would come off the tires on the ground, and we had a ditch on a job site, and we had a pipe, and creosote would run down that pipe to the main ditch on 14th Avenue North, and all the water would run down toward Mary North to the church. This is where everything was going to, in that ditch.
When you say the creosote would run through that pipe, was it a lot of creosote, a little, or what?
A lot, a whole lot. A gallon, 2 gallons
At a time?
at a time, at one time.
And this was all day, whenever the plant was open, or what?
Yes. Yes, sir.
You can see the trail, I mean, it's like a highway going down. As the water recedes, you can just see the black. It's like having water and somebody dropping oil into it. I mean, you can definitely see as it recedes where it's going. And it just pulls, especially freshly treated ties. I mean, those leak the worst. And as they sit there and it gets stacked and it's sitting in the water, it's pulled. As it recedes, you can see it just goes with the water. And many times you can see it through the drainages. That's where the Kermit drainage just goes into the ditch. You look over the tracks. There'd be tubes underneath the tracks. From the main yard over to goes under the tracks and goes to the ditches. Everything leads to the ditches at Kermit. If the wood sits on there, you will see a drainage going to the ditches. That's how it's designed. Like I said, it sits as a cup. It's high point of the property, and everything's designed to flow off.
You think about this, okay? You think about 100 feet of cross ties comes out of one cylinder, okay? 3 times a day, you've got 3 cylinders, all right? So you're talking about 300 feet of cross ties 3 times a day coming out of those cylinders a lot of times. They don't sit on the pad, so they go on down to the departments. Now these 100-foot long charges may sit on this railroad track all night long. So when we get there in the morning, creosote is going to run all off of them, all over the ground, all everywhere, okay? All right, so when we get there in the morning, we have to unload those charges and put them up. So then all this creosote's on the ground, so they bought this little tractor and this little rake. You just ride through there and just rake it into the ground. We did that all the time, and you figure over a period of how many years that went on. Puddles of creosote on top of puddles of creosote
And
going
it
in the
just
ground.
soaks on down into the ground.
Right. Soaks on, unless it rains. If it rains, it washes it right off into the ditch right then. And that happened a lot of times. It's like a river sometimes. Because of the way the yard was laid out, all the water from the framing mill, which was all the way up at the far end gate where the treatment plant was, all right, all the water from the treating department would come all the way down to the plant into shipping, into that ditch behind shipping, okay? That ditch, and then it ran into 14th Avenue right there. That's the ditch that ran into 14th Avenue.
So 14th Avenue was literally Creosote River sometimes.
That's right.
It's a ditch right outside the gate of the plant, and